the latest edition of Betting Weekly Fast Break. I'm Doug Kezirian alongside professional bettor Chris Macero on this Wednesday after back-to-back days of absolute pandemonium in the second round of the NBA playoffs. We're going to try to process this in this historic start to this round of the postseason. But just a reminder, we are here every weekday, 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Bet Rivers Network and Betting Weekly umbrella. Betting Weekly Fast Break, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Chris, what have you really fully processed exactly what we've seen so far in this second round?
It just reminds me of one of my favorite political quotes. There are decades where nothing happens and weeks where decades happen. And I feel like the last 48 to 72 hours, we've experienced something we've never seen before and might never see again, where we have 6 road underdogs win outright, some double-digit underdogs. And if you were lucky enough to roll over a 16 money line parlay, $100 got you $210,000. Obviously, that's probably unrealistic due to the time frames of the games, but just an incredible run of unbelievable finishes. And I have PTSD from betting these games the last couple of nights. It's just been complete shock.
Well, you're not alone. There's many of us out there sharing your shock value. And it's really not even just the underdogs winning outright. It's how they've won outright. It's one thing for the Pacers in game one, which went wire to wire, but they did start trailing in the third quarter. But the comebacks, like last night, the Pacers, the late comeback. Obviously, the T-Wolves were down from the start, but then Warriors losing Curry and then hanging on and winning by double digits. The Thunder and Celtics both blowing double-digit leads late in the second half. Just remarkable how it's all unfolded. You mentioned the rollover money line parlay. How about just grabbing some of these teams on the live line? The Pacers super late. The Halliburton step back 3 about a week after he was labeled overrated, the most overrated player in the association, according to a poll conducted by, I believe, The Athletic. So the narratives galore, but the question is, what can we extract from what's happened, and how does this impact what we have moving forward? I guess first things first, let's react to last night's playoff series. We now know Steph is out at least a week, so he's going to miss games 2 and 3, we think, maybe even more than that. Warriors still underdogs in the series, even though they now have home court advantage. You'll be on Friday's show, so you'll have another show to hopefully some more time to digest everything that's happened. But the T-Wolves are minus $152. You don't even have to give a play per se, but what's your early read of this series, given the T-Wolves lose game 1 and Curry's going to be out a few games?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have to lean towards the Timberwolves, but a big factor for me is just the effort level. I was tweeting out about it. I mean, the stat line was pretty ridiculous. I mean, to have a team out rebound you on your home court by 10 rebounds or more, you have to be a little bit embarrassed with the effort. I mean, that you got Golden State doesn't even have a player besides Looney that's over 6'7". I mean, you had guys. Pod had 8 rebounds. Buddy Hield had 8 rebounds. Looney had 6. Butler had 11. Draymond Green had 8. I mean, that is just a pathetic effort. I know Ant had 14 and Gobert 11, but Gobert's getting him just because he's a 7-footer. I mean, the rest of the guys, I mean, Naz Reid and McDaniels and Randall only had 3 rebounds. I mean, he's got to be a lot more aggressive. I'm not sure. I heard you talking about it before. They were just probably fat and happy. They beat the Lakers at doing the lap around Staples Center, but the effort level is not there for me. And you can just tell Steve Kerr, for as much talent as he was lacking after Curry got hurt, he's got the team dialed in defensively. And they're just giving a better effort. That's just plain and simple what it was last night. You could go back to, hey, Ant missed all these threes and he couldn't make a bucket, but the effort just wasn't there under the ball, and you can see it in the stat lines with the rebounding.
Yeah, I agree, and I think Kerr has done a nice job with mucking it up. He did that with the Rockets with that second unit when they're down 25. I believe it was in Game 5. And just kind of threw the curveball. And I think he's going to do that, whether he is playing Spencer a little bit, Kuminga now. Certain guys get in foul trouble. Quentin Post probably won't play that much given his propensity to commit fouls. But in general, I like the T-Wolves here. I think they'll bounce back in game 2. I'd be careful laying the double digits, though. I think the Warriors, that second unit, will create a lot of havoc. But, yeah, the Timberwolves are better as the underdog when they have an edge, not as a favorite. So we'll see how this series transpires. I do think minus $152 is cheap now that we know Curry is out at least a week. We'll see. I mean, hamstrings are tricky. So we can't just assume he's going to be 100% healthy. What about Pacers Cavs? Pacers now the favorite after winning the first 2 games on the road. We saw this last year with the T-Wolves and Nuggets. The road team won the first 4 games on Garland. Hunter. Those are 3 huge pieces.
They're in a minute to play. 2 of the instances are the Indiana Pacers this playoffs. April 29th, the miracle against Milwaukee, where me and you were both on the Pacers money line, and then last night. I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the stuff we're seeing is just completely insane. I tend to agree with you. I would need to know if those guys are coming back because, I mean, Mitchell, for all his amazingness last night, 48 points, he's banged up. I mean, every time he hit the ground, he was tough. It was tough for him to get back up, his knees, his back. He took a couple big hits. You know, they were all over him. So, yeah, if those 3 guys come back, I see Indiana taking this series. I found it curious. I saw some movement in the line. Like the Cavs are favored in Game 3. Is that correct? Updated?
That is the case.
Series,
it's just
I was surprised to see the Cavs. Yeah, extra zigzag, I guess, but it'd be tough to lay the Cavs on the road.
Yeah,
it'd be tough to lay the Cavs on the road without those 3 guys. So you definitely have to wait and see on this game. I'm going to sit it out. I was lucky enough to get the Pacers before the playoffs at 25-1 to win the East. So we'll just we'll have to sit it out and see what the injuries come up with before I make an opinion on the actual side.
On Friday when you are back on this show, so we have some time to kind of digest it. Of course, the lines will appropriately move according to those news updates. Let's turn the page to tonight. We have 2 more games with series continuing after blown game 1s at home by the favorites. So the Celtics now we're in the neighborhood of -$8, $8.30 range in terms of the series price. They're now 10.5. So you're paying a tax given it's a bounce back opportunity. I'm going to lay it. I'm laying it with Boston. I've been joking that after the Celtics 3-point shooting, Joe Mazzulla is not going to be at the chalkboard like Bart Simpson in the meme saying, we will not shoot as many threes and we will not shoot as many threes. Like they're going to still chuck. It's just a math thing for them. And frankly, if they made literally like 19 of 60 threes, they would have covered, let alone win the game. So I think they're going to be just fine. They did have some mental lapses when they didn't execute with the lead the right way in the second half, and really their defense was the issue. They're sloughing off shooters and stuff like that. But I'm on Boston here. Do you have any opinion on the series price or the game line? We'll get into some props and things like that. But any initial opinion on how this game goes?
Celtics to win the East -130 last night, just due to the fact that I have the Indiana bet, just adding a little more Celtics to the portfolio, just at a cheaper price. Right now, it's probably the cheapest price you're going to be able to get them at. If they win tonight, I'm sure that'll pop up a little bit. I also like the Celtics. I'm not going to lay the points. I'm going to play the Celtics team total over 110.5. I feel like this is a game where, like you mentioned, if they hit a bunch of these threes, I mean, they don't even have to go 50% like the Knicks almost did last game. You know, if they just hit 5 more threes, you know, they're going to go well over this total. I think the Celtics tonight maybe score like in the 116, 117 range. And I'm going to go Knicks team total under, as the Celtics off a loss are 17-5, holding their opponents to under their team total. And interesting enough that the last time this happened, they did not do it. It went over by 1 point or went over by 1.5 points to Orlando. So I think this is a get right spot for Boston. Porzingis was at the shoot around today, so he's upgraded to I upgraded to probable now. So Hauser's going to be out, but Porzingis upgraded to probable. I like a good defensive effort off a loss. So I'm going to be on Knicks team total under as my best bet in this game. But I do like the Celtics to go over their team total, because I figure, you know, you're not going to miss 45 threes. You're not going to shoot 19 of 30 threes in the third quarter again. There's just some crazy stats to this game. But I just think they get back into a little bit of a rhythm. They make some more shots. You know, Tatum, I also like to go over his total. It was crazy. We had 13 points in the first quarter. our total Tatum total bets were looking really strong, and he just kind of stopped playing in the second and third quarter for a little bit. I mean, he stopped going to the hole. He was doing too many step back threes. I think he's going to have a better game tonight. So I'm liking Tatum to go over 27.5 again. I like their team total over 110.5. And I think they hold the Knicks to under 100 points, 100.5 under Knicks team total.
Okay. I'm seeing the ball similarly. So you expect regression for both Boston and New York's shooting. Can't fault you there. I'm going to isolate Boston's team total in the first half. I think they come out blazing 57.5. So it's more than the half. It's a little bit more of a tax, especially with the buck 17 juice on the team total at Bet Rivers. But that's what I'm seeing as well. Now, here are the first half and first quarter lines. To borrow the term from Craps, I'm going to play the wheel. I'm going to do the first quarter and first half for the Celtics, so 3.5 and 6.5 respectively. I think they're going to come out like total maniacs in a good way. And I'm also laying. So I'm going to do first half and first quarter with a half unit each. I'm going to do the minus 10.5 for a full unit. And so I'll break it up that way. And then I'm on the team total over. I think they're going to shoot the lights out. I don't believe in the Knicks defense. I agree with you with Tatum. We're going to have to pay more juice this time than we did the other night, but I think it's the right angle. What do you make of his rebounds prop? I mean, especially if the Knicks are missing, he crashes the board. 9.5 feels absurdly low. And I like the over 9.5 too for rebounds in addition to his points.
Yeah, it was interesting. He was like 4-1 to lead the series in rebounds, and he's off to a really good start. He had 16 rebounds last game, which is outstanding. I actually thought when I saw his prop in the game one that it was 10. I'm like, well, he only got 10 one time against the Knicks. Thought it was kind of high, but apparently not. So 16, pretty impressive. We still have a good shot to maybe get the Tatum most points in the series, so that's still hanging around.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're going to play the same type of way, the Knicks obviously are not a great defensive team. The Celtics had 32. They said they had 32 close to wide open or the separation threes where they just didn't hit any. They only hit like 7. So I think Tatum has a big game tonight. Maybe you play a points, rebounds, assist over for Tatum because if he's going to be getting double digit rebounds, that's a strong move. But I'm just going to stick with the over 27.5 points for Tatum.
Sounds good. And then I was thinking about a Towns under because he got in foul trouble in game one. They broke down the video TNT at halftime. They run a lot of picks and they switch everything. And then Towns gets stuck on a guy who can dribble, whether it's Tatum or someone else. And Towns has just got heavier feet and he's having to guard the perimeter. I didn't pull the trigger, but I thought about that. But I am going to involve OG Anunoby. He's just been shooting lights out, especially on the road. 2+ 3-pointers is a little too pricey for me just to play that. It's minus 180 range. But I will add a parlay, not of the game, because you can't do some of that on the same game. But I'll add the OKC money line to bring it to minus 123. So OG to make 2 threes in this game, and then OKC just needs to win the game, which of course no favorites winning in the second round. But I like the Thunder to take care of their business. But that's something that people can do if you want to just sort of minimize some of the juice on some of the props instead of going to 2+ or 3+ threes. You want to keep it at 2+ threes. You can add something else, a parlay for something from another game. Let's get to that Thunder and Nuggets game. Wild finish. Thunder were in control the entire way, up 10 at half. Up 13 even in the fourth quarter. And then the Nuggets just stayed attached, did not go away, and then obviously closed the game crazily, especially with the fouling by OKC starting with 13 seconds left and Chet Holmgren missing both of those free throws and just for the wild finish with Aaron Gordon's 3 virtual buzzer beaters. So we have a tax here, 10.5. Nuggets, maybe they got what they came for, the one win in OKC, or maybe they want more like Indiana. How are you seeing this, Chris?
I'm very nervous based on my future tickets on OKC. I mean, you're up 3 twice with less than 12 seconds, and somehow you don't even come close to winning the game. And it's just it's maddening. Dagno's approach for the fouling. I mean, it's obviously been talked about 100 times, but I'd like to just talk about it again. I don't understand why at any moment you thought fouling a guy 70 feet away from the basket was a good idea without taking any time off the clock. What could possibly happen from 70 feet away? They're not gonna launch up a 3-pointer. Just didn't make any sense. They had so many opportunities where you could just play tight defense. Hey, maybe you get a poke away or a steal, and you don't even have to worry about it. It just didn't make sense. And to do it one time was insane. To do it twice, and the second time with Joker off the court when they had no timeouts, you just had to get it to with under 5 seconds. And then you foul. Worst case scenario, they make two, or all you have to do is inbound the ball. You get fouled. They're not going to have time to move the ball to half court because they don't have a timeout left. That was just the most mismanagement of the last 15 seconds I think I've ever seen. But I'm very shocked. So what makes me very nervous about this game, very shocked. So what makes me very nervous about this game is that you can just see it when you watch the two teams play. The size of Gordon, the size of Jokic, they're so much bigger than Chet. I mean, Chet moved around, only had 6 rebounds, only 12 points. Hartenstein, held his own. He had 9 rebounds, 22 for Joker, 13 for Brown, which was very impressive. I mean, it's tough to lay that big number. And I'm just concerned that so many second chance opportunities. I mentioned this on the show on Monday, that's one of the big factors. You got to keep Joker off the boards, getting those second chance opportunities where he's just doing his little volleyball back and forth. He eventually gets it, and that's his 2 points, or he tips it out and keeps it alive. Those second chance points are huge for the Nuggets, and that's what makes me nervous in this series. And for as much as everyone loves the Thunder, and we've talked about them all year, everyone was very confident they're going to win this series. This team hasn't even been to a conference finals yet, let alone the finals. And the nervous energy and the coaching decisions I saw on Monday have me very nervous about this game. If I'm going to play a little bit of a hedge on my tickets, I'm going to take a shot on Denver in 6 and Denver in 7. You can get some very juicy numbers, plus 650, plus 1100 on the 2 scenarios, just to have a little something in my back pocket in case the Thunder just, I talked to Bovey after the game, and we discussed it. He goes, OKC is going to come back and win the series, most likely. But what he said to me, which I thought was interesting, he goes, don't let it get to a game 7, just based on the experience factor and the nervous factor that these Nuggets younger players have. And it kind of played out. And it reminded me one more thing, not to ramble on here, but it reminded me of the Duke NCAA tournament run where Duke was killing everyone. They played only 2 or 3 close games all year. I found an interesting stat that only the 8th time all year the Thunder was within 3 points or less with less than 30 seconds to go in the game. So that's a pretty small sample size. They haven't had many of these close clutch situations where they have to get the ball in bounds or foul or get to the line and make the clutch free throws. So that's what just makes me a little bit nervous about this game. I'm hoping OKC blows them out and just we can reset, go back to Denver 1-1. But there's a lot of concerning factors in this game. Rebounding edge and the experience factor of that championship team with most of the guys still there. I know they're short bench-wise, but just a lot of concern I have for this Thunder team.
Back sometimes about the Thunder because I said, look at last year, they wet the bed, things got here. But then I pushed back saying that's a different team. I mean, adding Hartenstein and Holmgren is very different than Caruso. We saw last game how valuable Caruso is. But still, they need to execute. And how Denver defended them down the stretch was really telling. They ran a second guy at SGA, and then they sort of shifted the zone to like a matchup zone for the last, 10 seconds of the shot clock. And the Thunder are going to have someone else beat them. And then the Nuggets have such a size advantage. You mentioned Gordon, and then Jokic could just play bully ball and back down his opponent. So I'm with you there. I'm not laying the points. With that being said, Thunder were up the entire game until the 4th quarter, and then they sort of just let go of the rope and give Denver all the credit in the world. But it's not like the game 1 of the Pacers and Cavs where Indy sort of dominated, beginning to end. So I am playing first half OKC. So I think they're going to come out. So just what everyone knows, this happens in football and whatnot. So the game line is the game line, and there's a tax at 10.5. And then the first half and the first quarter line are commensurate with the game line. They're not skewing those. I think there's more of an edge on the first half line because Jokic plays the entire first quarter, and then you get DeAndre Jordan to start the second quarter. And I think that's where the Thunder will have pronounced edge. So I don't want to go Thunder first quarter because then why make a bet when you can only, that Jokic is involved in the entire sample size. I'd rather just widen it. So you can do first to maybe 40, and that would get Jokic out of it. So maybe a first to 40 points bet is smarter than a first half bet. But I like the Thunder. I think they're going to come out with more energy. There's more desperation. So they'll have a sense of urgency. Look at Indy and the Cavs. Like the Cavs had that lead at half. They were up 15 points before you know it. I think there will be more urgency and therefore that leads to the loose balls. That leads to maybe more free throws because you're initiating contact and things along those lines. So, the whistle will follow the effort. And then I just want to get Jokic off the court for a bet. So first half for me on the Thunder, but I am also playing Jokic over 28.5 points. It's -109 at Bet Rivers. I'll do a half unit on that and the OKC first half as well. So I'll do a half unit on each because I do think they're correlated. I think if the Nuggets hang around, Jokic is going to go off. I don't trust some of the role players. I'm interested to see if Michael Porter Jr. only plays a handful of minutes like he did in game one because he's a defensive liability. Clearly, Adelman, the new coach in Denver, went with a more defensive-minded lineup, more athleticism on defense with Westbrook and Watson and whatnot, and Brown played great. So maybe there's some prop angles there. I just don't want to overreact and just assume Porter's not going to play because maybe that was a wake-up call, quote-unquote. So there's a lot to analyze, but those are my only two plays on this. We do know we have injury news on this game, Chris. Scott Foster, back from a 2-month calf injury. We will get him in this game. I actually think that helps the underdog. There's no record ATS with him versus a certain player. I just think he doesn't succumb to the crowd noise or anything. He's very by the book and very intense and almost wants to show up the crowd. So I think if anything's going to get a favorable whistle in those 50-50 calls, I think it's the dog.
I agree. I mean, I could never lay it with just the fact that the only way that I think the Thunder cover this game spread is if they do get out to a super quick start and then they just say, you know what, we got one. We have less depth than OKC. We can't put Jokic through this another 40-minute type game where he's getting – and it was a very physical game. I mean, he was initiating a lot of the contact, but it was a very physical game. And I figure if, maybe they do get out to OKC gets out to a big first half, maybe they rest a couple of guys and OKC just gets the easy cover. And it's like, Denver game where they only score 86 points and it's 108-86 type of thing like that. But if it's down to the wire, close game, I'm favoring, the Nuggets keeping it, within the number, no doubt about it. Just based on experience and the way Gordon's playing, it's like he seems to. He's like the little Robin right now. It's not Westbrook. It's Gordon. He's Robin to Joker's Batman, and it's been really good for him. I like him as a player. He's really tough. I mean, to get 14 boards, 22 points, 2 game-winning shots already in the playoffs. One was kind of lucky. The Monday night one was clutch. He said he knew it was going in. So it's just tough to lay such a big number. Just the way things are going too. How can you have any confidence laying these big numbers when every night we keep seeing the team gets out to the big lead, no matter what, they're at home, they're not holding on to them. So these other teams, it's got to give confidence to all the underdogs. So I'm not going to be involved in this game. I have too much riding on OKC to make the finals. So like I said, I'm going to just sprinkle in a little Denver in 6 and Denver in 7, just because the prices are so big. And I'm going to hope we get a better effort from the rest of the guys. I mean, Shea had 33, but he was still a -16 on the net rating. Someone else needs to step up for OKC. Thank God Caruso stepped up. I was texting a few people during the game. I go, if it wasn't for Caruso, this game would be a wrap by Denver. I mean, he was keeping him in there on both sides of the ball. So, they need Chet to step up, or they need Jay Will to step up. Dort was a -21. I mean, he didn't, he did get elbowed in the head. So, I mean, I'm just someone has to step up. It's playoff time. It can't just be the superstar. There has to be some of the others. And at home, usually the others do step up. So this is obviously a must win tonight. So we'll see what happens.
Before we wrap up, you mentioned what's been going on and what's transpired the first couple of days of this second round. Can I interest you in a money line parlay with the Celtics and Thunder minus 225? And maybe even add Minnesota tomorrow.
I mean, eventually it has to come in, right? It has to. I mean, the Warriors are not beating Minnesota without Steph Curry. Twice in a row, it can't happen. Draymond Green, everyone was like showing that stat where he had four threes, and Minnesota had no threes. But Draymond Green only had 18 points. So he had like 14 points in the first quarter, and then he made 2 more shots, or he made a couple free throws. He had a lucky first quarter. I mean, it was the other guys that really stepped up. Hield was on fire. Are all these guys going to be on fire? I expect a better effort from the T-Wolves. So yeah, I might be interested in that parlay. It's minus 120. You can. Because if it doesn't happen, you just have to say, I tip my hat. Like, what else? What other craziness are we going to get? Like, eventually, there has to be a favorite win. I mean, just 3 double-digit favorites at home, all in absolute must-wins. If this doesn't happen tonight, maybe the ghost of David Stern is arising somehow, or it's the opposite. It's like the opposite Stern, because in David Stern's NBA, there's no way this stuff would have happened.
All right, so you'll be back on the show Friday. We'll have a chance to break down those games, the series that continue Friday night and through the weekend. Wes Reynolds is on the show tomorrow. We're also going to talk. It's a 1 game tomorrow, and we'll talk some little WNBA futures as well with Wes, because there's money to be made in the W as well. Chris, good stuff as always. We'll see if we get some normalcy in the association in this second round as we move forward. Appreciate your insight. I know our listeners do. And again, just a reminder to everyone, the Betting Weekly Fast Break, new show Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We're going to break down all the hoops action. And then we also launched a baseball show, Betting Weekly Hardball, at 2 p.m. Eastern. Adam the Bull and I will get back at it tomorrow. So join us then. A lot of, as we all know, the baseball is fast and furious coming at you. And then this NBA, we'll try to digest what happens tonight. And hopefully, for our sake at least, no more upsets. So for Chris Macero, I'm Doug Kezirian. We'll see you back here next time.